I was 29 years old when I counted my money while sitting on the ranch porch. The sun was setting behind the hills, painting the sky with orange and dust. $1 million. It wasn't a number on a screen. It was land. It was cattle. It was contracts signed with calloused hands. I thought it meant freedom. I thought I'd never feel fear again. But in the countryside, you learn a hard truth. Money can buy almost everything, except silence within the soul. If someone had warned me that evening, perhaps I wouldn't have made the mistake that changed my life forever. Before we continue, I want to give you a simple invitation. If you enjoy deep stories about money, choices, and the invisible price of success, subscribe to the channel now. Here, we don't talk about money to impress. We talk to warn. This isn't a story of victory. It's a story of learning, the kind that costs too much to be ignored. I grew up on a ranch where silence spoke louder than any speech. My father would wake up before the sun, put on his boots without making a sound, and head out to the fields as if fulfilling an ancient pact with the land. There, I learned early on that nothing comes easy, and that everything has a price. The dust was part of your skin. The smell of hay, of cattle, of the old wood of the barn. While other children dreamed of big cities, I dreamed of security. Of never again depending on luck, the weather, or a bad winter. I saw neighbors lose lands that had been in the family for generations. I saw strong men hang their heads because of debt. That left a mark on me. I decided that money would be my armor. If I had enough, nothing could touch me. I worked harder than I needed to. I accepted responsibilities too early. I traded rest for goals. At first, it looked like virtue, discipline, focus, ambition. But there was something I didn't realize. The more I chased security, the further I got from everything that made life simple and light. In the countryside, the land teaches patience. I learned productivity, and I confused one for the other. I was 29 years old when I did the math sitting at the ranch's kitchen table. The coffee was already cold. The sun came through the window, illuminating papers, contracts, and numbers. $1 million. There was no shouting. There was no celebration. Only a long sigh, and a dangerous thought. Now I can't lose. That achievement, which I thought would bring peace, brought vigilance instead. I began to protect the money like someone protecting a territory surrounded by invisible enemies. The ranch grew. More land. More cattle. More business. And with that, more worry. More sleepless nights. More decisions made out of fear, not wisdom. I realized something was wrong when I stopped appreciating the sunset. The sunset became just another interval between one bill and the next. Money stopped being a tool and became a responsibility too heavy to carry alone. At that moment, without realizing it, I was already on the path to my worst mistake. Not because I earned it too early, but because I let the money decide who I would be from then on. My worst mistake came disguised as intelligence, as maturity, as a responsible man's decision. I started choosing business over people, profit over conversations, results over relationships. I pushed away those who didn't understand my routine. I ignored simple invitations. I began to see time as a cost, not as life. On the ranch, I always learned that a man's word was worth more than a signed paper. But I began to trust only in contracts. I justified everything by saying it was temporary, that later there would be time, that one day I would slow down. But the more money came in, the further that later became. I didn't realize when I stopped being someone who worked hard and became someone who lived on high alert. The mistake wasn't growing. It was growing without roots. In the countryside, tall trees without deep roots fall in the first storm. I would only understand this when the wind started blowing harder. The ranch grew too fast. More fences, more head of cattle, more trucks coming and going on the dirt road. On the outside, everything looked like progress. On the inside, something was starting to wither. Houses that are too big get empty fast. The silence that was once rest became a burden. At night, I walked through the hallways hearing only my own footsteps. I had everything I ever wanted, but I had no desire to celebrate. I started confusing responsibility with isolation. I thought carrying everything alone was a sign of strength. In the countryside, a man who complains too much is seen as weak, and I took that too far. The money demanded constant attention. One wrong decision could cost a lot. So I closed myself off. I stopped asking for opinions. I stopped listening to simple advice. I began to trust only myself and the numbers. But numbers don't tell you when you're tired. They don't warn you when you're losing your soul. The bigger the ranch got, the smaller I felt inside. And still, I kept moving forward. Because stopping seemed too dangerous. It was on an ordinary late afternoon, closing the corral, that I heard the warning I ignored. An old cowboy, hands scarred by time, worn-out hat, few words. He had been watching me in silence for weeks. That day, he said only, "Boss, be careful not to become the owner of everything, and forget who you are." I smiled. I thought he was exaggerating. In my head, he didn't understand the weight I carried. He didn't have millions. He didn't have lands. But he had something I was losing: peace. Today I realize that the most valuable advice almost always comes from those who don't need to prove anything to anyone. But I was too busy growing. I didn't listen. In the countryside, warnings don't come with sirens. They come low, simple, and when you ignore them, life finds another way to teach. I didn't lose the ranch. I didn't lose money. It was something worse. I lost time that doesn't come back. I lost simple lunches. I lost conversations that could have changed everything. I pushed away people who cared about me before I had anything. I was surrounded by respect, but empty of affection. The money kept coming in. But I was increasingly tired. There was a weight in my chest that no achievement could relieve. A tiredness that didn't come from physical labor, but from constant vigilance. In the financial balance sheet, everything looked right. In life, something was deeply wrong. Some losses don't make noise. They happen in silence. And when you notice, it's already too late to get it all back. There was one night that changed everything. I was alone on the ranch porch, looking at the dark field. No wind, no crickets, no peace. Everything I ever wanted was there. But I felt defeated. It was then that I understood. I had won the wrong game. I traded simplicity for control. I traded people for security. I traded life for the fear of losing. Money gave me power, but it took away my presence. That night, for the first time, I asked myself, what is all this worth, if I have no one to share the silence with? And that question changed the course of my story. There is a price that doesn't appear in any contract. It's not highlighted in spreadsheets, but it charges high interest. Success began to isolate me in a silent way. The more I grew, the fewer people approached, and those who did came out of interest. I no longer knew who was there for me, and who was there for what I represented. I began to distrust everything: praise, invitations, even good intentions. In the countryside, we learned to read weather signs. But I stopped reading the signs of my own soul. Money brought comfort, but took away spontaneity. It brought options, but took away lightness. I realized too late that living in constant protection is another form of prison. A more elegant one, more silent, but still a prison. Success didn't destroy me all at once. It wore me down little by little. And that's the danger, when you only notice the damage when you're already too tired to turn back. If I could sit today next to that 29-year-old kid, I would tell him simple things. Things that the countryside teaches, but that money tries to erase. I would say, build wealth, but don't build walls. Grow, but don't distance yourself. Win, but don't lose who you are. Money should be a tool, not a judge. It should serve life, not command it. I would tell him to listen more, to stop more often, to sit on the porch and let the sun set without thinking about numbers. Because the real loss isn't financial. It's reaching the top alone. If I had understood this before, I would have made different choices. Not less ambitious, more human. Today, my definition of wealth has changed. Being rich isn't how much land you have, nor how many head of cattle carry your name, nor how many numbers appear in your account. Being rich is being able to sit at the end of the day and feel peace. It's having someone to share the silence with, someone who knew you before the success and still stays after it. On the ranch, the land continues to demand respect. The work remains hard. But now I understand what really matters. Money is still part of my life. But it is no longer the center. It went back to being a tool. And I went back to being human. If this story spoke to you, don't ignore that feeling. Perhaps it's a warning arriving at the right time, before the price gets too high. Money is important. But it should never cost your peace, your relationships, or your identity. Comment below. What does wealth mean to you today? Subscribe to the channel if you believe that some stories aren't just made to entertain, but to save paths, correct routes, and remember what really matters. Until the next story. And until then, take care of your land. And take care of your soul.